Check, check, 1, 2. Oh, I was screaming earlier, so that's very quiet. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, there we go. Negative 12 dB. How's that for decimal knowledge, Rob? I'm talking to myself. It's just me today. No Christian. I'm all by myself. She's a busy girl. So it's only me. That's right, it's Lawrence Lewis. Today is Thursday, October 22nd, 2020. This is the Producer's Happy Hour, a weekly podcast with normally two producers on opposite coasts. Today it's just one producer, Christian's in New York City, probably technically Brooklyn on a stage somewhere, busy shooting. I'm in Los Angeles, technically Joshua Tree. I'm prepping, but we're exploring what it means to be a good producer while still navigating the coronavirus. We're looking to keep our crews safe. We're looking to keep our industry working. And it's more important than ever for us to keep sharing our ideas and our experiences so we can continue to keep this industry afloat. Share your stories with us. Are you working? If you are, how? How are you staying safe? How are you keeping your crew safe? Email us, producershappyhour@gmail.com, and rate the show on Apple Podcasts and keep the algorithms working in our favor. So Christian may be gone, but I'm here, and she is still in the interview that we're going to listen to, part 2 of our interview with Bidzilla. Yes, Bidzilla. Her name is Cheri Wilder. She is an amazing freelance bidding producer that has been in this industry as long as Christian and I. She's now pivoted into CCO work, COVID compliance officer. Still getting used to the title. But she'll be back to bidding, I'm sure, because her experience is considerable. So here we are. It's Thursday. It's late. I know. We're going to post this on Friday, so you're getting it a day late, but we're both very busy. She is shooting today. I'm prepping and also doing a lot of voiceover work here in my lovely studio in the gorgeous town of Joshua Tree. So I'm going to throw it to the interview, but there's just two things I want to talk about because we mentioned this, I think, in last week's podcast, Regal Cinemas. They are set to reopen 11 movie theaters in New York State after receiving a green light from Andrew Cuomo to start on October 23rd, which is tomorrow when this podcast is going to come out. So there's a story in Hollywood Reporter. I'll put it in the show notes, but basically starting October 13th, they started pressuring Governor Cuomo to reopen cinemas in New York City. The Regal Ewok in Times Square put a message on the marquee that said 48 states have reopened theaters so far. Why not New York, Governor Cuomo? So apparently it worked. They're going to open starting tomorrow, Friday. Or today, if you're listening to this when this comes out. So that's exciting news. Hopefully everyone stays safe, masks on, and I'm sure it's limited capacity, but go see Tenet. Go see Tenet. The other thing I want to mention now, this is from Christian, so this is her part of the show. She sent this through. It was an e-blast from IATSE. Now, maybe this is a little too late, but they're promoting a website called SaveLiveEventsNow.com. They said, with the ongoing talks for successor COVID-19 relief bill, we're still very much in the fight to ensure entertainment workers are included and that the current crisis is addressed as comprehensively as the current crisis requires. We're still very much in the fight to ensure entertainment workers are included to solve this crisis. IATSE is a proud partner of the hashtag Save Live Events Now campaign. Now, there's a lot of these campaigns around. Over the weekend, there was a big festival by Save Our Stages, hashtag Save Our Stages, that was put on by NEVA, which I believe is the National Independent Venue Association. So there's a lot of these kind of organizations trying to save live event venues from disappearing because it's a real probability that that could happen. So thank you, IATSE. A little late, but glad that you are in this fight with us. So I'm going to put that website, SaveLiveEventsNow.com, in the show notes because they do have some actionable items in there that you can help to donate if you are able, and other ways to write your congresspeople to help make sure live events and live event crew are taken care of in the next bill, if there ever is one. Don't get me started. But that's really it. I want to just throw to the interview because Cheri Wilder has a lot of great things to say. Our conversation, as typically it does these days, shifts towards systemic racism in our industry. So we're going to take a listen to that. But first, go to our website. Speaking of, click on the tab, Do the Work. It's a page on our website with anti-racism resources for you to educate yourself on the issues of racism that have long played our society and, quite frankly, our industry. And there's links on there to other actionable things you can do to support the Black Lives Matter movement. Also, take action. Mostly, we're just going to talk about voting. We're so close. Power to the polls, postcards to swing states, wegotthevote.org, betterknowaballot.com. Those are all websites that can help you in making sure this election runs smoothly. And all I can say is get out and vote, guys. We got to do it. It's just not the same without Christian, but we're going to take this anyways to Cheri Wilder, known as Bidzilla here on the West Coast, although she bids all over the world. She's an experienced bidding producer with a demonstrated history of working in the commercial production industry, skilled in foreign and domestic budgets of all levels, proficient in live events, VR, AR, and post-production estimating. Basically, the whole industry. She's a strong bidding professional with over 20 years of experience in the field. Let's take a listen to part 2 of our interview with Bidzilla. So, one of the things that this pandemic has brought to light, along with activities of various police departments across the country, has been this issue of systemic racism. Obviously, the pandemic is affecting statistically more people of color than not. And when I reached out to you, you said, sure, I'm happy to. That day. You were hot that day, and I loved it. And yes, we want to talk about it. And like I said, we don't want to have a question and answer forum because, we don't want to be the two white people gatekeeping and letting you tell us about your experience. Mm-hmm. But we want to hear, we want to learn. You had some great things to say, and it echoed, some things Christian and I said on the podcast when the protests were happening after George Floyd was killed was like, how come I don't know, my fault, I don't know any black production supervisors that I could be hiring in Los Angeles. Shame on me. How come I don't even know any black EPs that hire me?
That's because there aren't any black EPs. Right. There's Helen Holland, right? Mm-hmm. At Little Minx. And she was freelance producing for a long time. I'm your African-American woman bidder on both coasts. Donald Cager and I started together, and Donald Cager is in Sister Christian. He was the bidder at Atherton when I was the bidder at Atherton East, or West and East.
I know Donald well.
Yeah, see, and
I've worked with him.
Donald and I were the only black people doing it on both coasts, probably the 90s. And then there's a couple, 3 African-American women I know who are production managers. Tanya Spicer moved from LA and went to Atlanta a few years ago. There's 3 ladies here in LA. I know there are people in New York, I just don't know them. There's one black VTR guy. There's Riff, who is the first AD. I have heard of some other black first ADs now that I've been working in TV, but they're all brand new and just starting out and mostly came out in music video. So they're not really at standard yet, but they're getting there. They need to be given a shot. I should have been an EP 15 years ago.
I agree. 100%.
But I couldn't get looked at. I can't get hired. I still don't get considered. I don't get called. People don't think of me when they want to hire somebody. I get that I am not easy and that I am opinionated, but I'm no more opinionated than any other Becky and Karen that we both know.
Or any other man. It's shameful that you have to even say that. It's like, well, I know I'm opinionated, but think about all the men who get through and get by because they have their strong opinions.
And have been sitting in the room with those men when their opinion has been wrong. Or can't tell you how many times I've looked at boards, even recently, like, are you fucking kidding me? You can't say this. You can't show it this way. This is no. And literally, I was at a company, and this was the beginning of 19, and there were boards that came in that were egregiously racist. And I was like, you guys, really? And they were like, I know, we have to soft pedal it. No, you have to not pedal it.
Yeah.
So that didn't help me. That got me frozen for a hot minute.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know what? Good riddance. Now when you call me, like, I don't have time for you. It's, I was very, very heavy when starting out, and I had gastric bypass 10 years ago. So I've lost 160 pounds. I thought that would make a difference, because it is about optics, right? Yep. It is about optics.
This business is,
very much so. And that makes a difference. I thought it would make a difference. It did for a minute because it was interesting.
Mhm.
but then, I'm still Black.
Right.
I'm still Black. I still know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. And I still will be pushy and ask questions. I still will be pushy and assert my opinion. And so that isn't always welcome from me. I kind of don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I was raised in a family. My father taught me to always question, to always ask the question. So I always ask the question. My parents taught me to speak truth to power all the time. My mom may not like how my attitude comes off, and they may not have liked my tone all the time. And I understand that. However, I didn't earn the nickname Tonella from some friends without good reason. But sorry, not sorry. Like,
Right.
there are a couple EPs right now that make my stomach hurt. I'm proud of them, but I'm like, oh, you were coordinators and I taught you everything. You were coordinators when I was a head of production. So you PM'd on the line. You never produced, and then you move up, or you produce one thing because the director liked you, and then they own the company, and then like, I can't tell you how many women, white women who I have shown, taught, helped, who are on panels and talking about all these things right now and doing all this stuff, and I'm like, no, I mean, it's systemic racism is everywhere. We're all liberals, and we all think it's all good because we all are very blue, or they're purple if they're not blue and they're not telling you, but they lean,
doing
right?
their part.
Right.
They're doing
and we don't see color. Bullshit. The thing I had someone say this to me last year, only because we haven't worked this year. You speak so well. I wanted to kick him in the neck.
I mean,
I
speak
speak
direct
well
dick punch.
because, exactly. Yeah, I speak well. That's because my grandmother was a college graduate, and everyone in my family. I'm the least educated in my whole family. Everybody has advanced degrees in my family. I just have a measly BA. So, everyone in my family has masters and doctorates. So I speak well.
I speak well.
Yeah. And honestly, Lawrence, I didn't want to go out and march, and I didn't. I feel like it is not my turn. Mostly not that I don't, it's not that it's not my turn. I feel like I did that already. Yeah. Now I get to sit in the position where I get to decide where I spend my money.
Right.
Exactly.
I get to sit in the position of who I endorse, and I vote.
Yeah.
I have all the Black Lives Matter masks that you could have. I have all kinds of hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe. I have fists up. I have all the great masks. I wear them every day, unapologetically, on my sets, the whole nine. But I don't want to march. I wasn't prepared to march in COVID, for sure.
Yeah.
But I was proud of the millennials that went out there, and I hope all the white people weren't performing. That's the thing I think that is frustrating more than anything, is performative allyship. Don't perform. Be it or don't be it. After the May thing, when it sort of died down in like late June, I'd get phone calls from some of my white girlfriends like, so just wanted to ask. No, don't ask me. I'm not here for you to ask me. And they know me well enough to be like, okay, I thought I would, but I'm not. But can I just ask you? No. Go do some research. There's all kinds of stuff online now. We already told you.
Yeah.
Or go look at the email
you.
I sent you in 2018. Like, I don't have anything to say today.
Yeah.
So it's I'm tired. I'm 51 years tired, and I've earned. Yeah, it is kind of pandemic here. I can't lie. Not all the Greys died.
That just looks like highlights on Zoom.
It's highlights,
But I've done my part and said my piece, but now I vote with my wallet and my feet and my voice, my feet in terms of where I walk to my things that I want.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't know that I have time to march in the streets unless unless he decides he's not leaving power, then of course I'll be out there with
then we all have to
and a torch. But then,
if we're not, then if we're not, then we have a big trouble. Exactly. So
yeah, we haven't had the same conversation with a friend of mine. It's like, we did the marches in COVID. We were out there and we're like, oh my God, my knees and and I had the paintball guns pulled on me twice. I'm like, okay, maybe this wasn't this again.
Well, the mask covers the gray beard, so
yeah, exactly. It's like
and you still got a lot of hair, Lawrence.
Thank goodness. But so we had to have that conversation with each other. Me and a good friend of mine. It's like, okay, we can't physically fight. We can't physically be out there. We have to
defer to the young people on that one.
We have to defer to the young people. Let the people. Thank goodness, whoever's out there still in Seattle and in those cities that are still fighting. Thank goodness for them, and we're finding other ways to support them, not just with our money, but any way we can, and that's very true. And so a lot of people out there who are listening, there are other ways to do it.
Yeah, we're the new, I guess, the generation that can afford to fund the generation who's out there right now. So we should be doing everything we possibly can to help their knees.
Yeah, exactly. Help their knees.
And in our privileged seats as white producers, we have the ability to make some changes from within.
Yeah. I just filmed in a town in Texas, and, you just ask your production manager to hire as many BIPOC or women as you possibly can. And then I know that I had 50% women on my crew when I was in a southern town, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
Because we get shit done.
I'm not really inclined to hire women. And it's because I would pick people of color of whatever their affiliation with the gender is.
Over just women. Because just women always defaults to white women. Always.
Yeah. Always. And so therefore,
good.
I make it a point to do that. And then, on a side note, remember streetlights?
Yep.
Yes.
I remember we hired lots of PAs who were Latino, and then every once in a while there'd be a black guy who come through streetlights. Never heard of any of them doing anything more than ever getting hired as a PA. No one ever moved them up. No one ever pushed really hard. That a lot of them fell out of it because they get 1 or 2 jobs and they never did anything else.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of not being able to help a lot of them myself. Not guilty, I would say. I realized that I probably might have been in a position to suggest people when I didn't, or wasn't sure if I could, but I should have been pushier.
Right.
There's that.
Right.
And I think streetlights was one of those things where people perform allyship. Like, streetlights will I still see streetlights in cost controller notes, or agency notes in the specs.
Please try to hire
somebody from streetlights. Are you fucking kidding me? You don't move them up and you don't help them. It's a bunch of bullshit.
It's a bunch of
And unfortunately, they're not trained because nobody takes the time to actually go back. And I could be guilty of this part. No one reaches out to streetlights and tries to elevate what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So that we actually get qualified, minority hires that can actually do something. And can I also just say, I am not BIPOC. I'm a black woman. I think it's my generation. I'm an 80s kid, right? We learned all the wellness speak, so what I hear you saying is you're calling me a moniker, right?
Right.
I'm black. We were African American because that was the right thing to say at the time. But now I just want to be black. And I don't need to be lumped in with everybody else. People who want to do that, that's fine. But I'm a proud African American woman. I identify as black.
Nice.
Understood.
So,
yeah, I remember we had this, diversity thing come up. I don't know when, 2009 or whenever. That was the solution. Oh, they want a diverse crew. Call streetlights.
Yeah.
We'll get a couple.
But that isn't diversity.
And it's just PAs. They didn't have any.
And it's just PAs.
The labor force of the crew,
I could see how pathetic and performative that was. But again, shame on me for not trying to do anything about it.
I can think of one girl's face, and then I can call Hope Dotson's name for black women who are production managers. Hope Dotson actually might be producing now because she's been a production manager probably for 20 years. We've been in the business about 28 years. She's probably been in for about 18, 20, and now she's moved up. And then there's one other woman that I met at Biscuit, actually, who is African-American. She works with Callie Nyman, and I can't think of her name. But those are the only black women I know who are production managers. And again, we don't pick streetlights because we know, the other part is I can't pick streetlights because then if I get a PA who doesn't kill it, then it's the black person recommended the bad person of color on my set and they aren't doing a good job, so we can't hire her or them ever.
Wow.
That happens a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're held to the fire for your entire race.
Of course. Always, always. If I suggest a person who doesn't fulfill the need and is exceptional, I'm equally dinged for that. So it's hard to recommend people, unless you know that they can kill a game.
The expectation is so, you can't live up to that expectation 24 hours a day. And it's so much more than just the 35-year-old senior producer white dude who you find yourself answering to on a job that is way over his head, that he's never had any experience before, but he's now a senior producer on staff at a company, and you have to answer to every question he has.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling.
I came across something similar where I realized timelines are fuzzy. But being
that's called age.
It's called age. But I
can't remember this morning.
I realized, and I was probably a production manager at the time, that I got dinged as a gay man on set for hiring an attractive male for a position where they said,
I never get dinged for that.
No wonder you think he's good.
Wow, they really said that. Yeah, see, I wondered, I'm sure that happens to you, Lawrence, a lot, and I'm sure it happens in the gay community on set a lot as well, depending on what you're doing and what the job is and what company you're working at. If you're doing cars and cigarettes and, stuff like that. But if you're doing fashion or, clothing or even packaged goods, you won't hear it as much. But the macho brands, there's a thing. Yeah. And, like for you to get dinged for hiring the VTR guy, like I'm not a VTR guy. Like, how do I know?
Exactly.
Like you asked for a diverse person. I picked a person. They were really, they seemed good on paper. They might've had a bad day, just like Becky had a bad day the other day. Right. That what didn't derail her career and her boss's career on top of it. It's that kind of thing that we have to pay attention to. I don't know how to solve that. I don't know what the solution is. There's not enough people of color in high enough positions to mitigate that problem yet.
Well, I guess what we're exploring is like, maybe it's coming up with solutions to move up the people who would never get a chance, like start opening those doors as the white producers on set.
Yeah.
Start opening up the doors to anybody who wants to train as, like, find out what interests you about the field that we're in, the film industry, and then start making the introductions into the departments of where to go and finding other like-minded white people to begin those.
Well, I think there's two things. It's
very local.
Getting the younger generation, the starter outers, the PAs and what have you, and the assistant coordinators and the travel coordinators and the DOT person, whatever. But it's also remembering you got people like me out there who, if you want to do something interesting in your company, or you need another EP, or you need to think outside of your box of who you're hiring for that next phase. It's that too, It's remembering that the gay, straight, whatever, the African-American, the Latino who's been production managing for 20 years and can't get past production managing, Like, what is that? It's the same thing. Like, don't forget that those people are there too, and they get to move up. Give somebody a shot. It's just, I don't think there's enough people in a position to think of it. What they say is, I would do that, but I just got these boards in from, and I can't do it on this one. Like 72 and sunny, I can't do it on that job.
Yeah.
My turn.
Right. They got a board in for, a car thing, and now they're hesitant because it's a car thing and the director only has 3 cars on their reel, and so now we have to bring the A team because I'm scared to use anybody else because I don't want to give a shot right there.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too.
Well, people are now nervous again that, they're just starting back to work, and so they don't have room for anybody new. It's a very selfish time, and I think this is the absolute time to begin to do it. If you haven't been doing it, then you need to be doing it.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know how to force the issue.
Making it more, I feel, and pardon my interruption, I feel like the more that I talk about it, it feels the more people are willing to talk about it.
Who are you talking about it with, though? And how does it resonate? And do you think you're actually having a conversation, or are you affecting change? That's You know, like you got to evaluate, like we had this great conversation a month ago. Well, what has happened in that 4 weeks?
Follow up.
So, yeah.
Right.
Because we talk a lot. We're really good at it. And we're really good at it in our business. Because that's I mean, especially as commercial people, you know, we're all a little bit shysty.
You know what happened last week on this job? You know
right?
what's going to happen next week on that? Yeah. Like, it's war stories.
Yeah. And plus we're selling stuff. We got to figure out how to sell snow to the Eskimos and then rain down on them, you know? Like,
yes.
Yeah. We're skilled at this.
Well, so now you've inspired me to reach out to this Orlando PM that I used 2 years ago on a job. He said it was the first time anybody's ever asked him to look outside the box of not hiring white men.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to follow up. Where's my pen? I'm going to follow up with him. I'm going to follow up with him and say, how's it been going? Because the first AD that he introduced me to, Robert Green, I use anytime I'm in the South now.
Oh, great.
No matter what.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got along pretty well. He just did something for me last week. But that said, I would never have met him if I wouldn't have asked it, right? So following up with that PM and finding what he's been doing would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, exactly. And see if he's been able to force the issue on any other jobs and say, what about other people outside of the box?
Yeah. I think a safe way to go is art department. And I was like, yeah, we can totally art department safe, but why don't we try grip electric and camera?
Yeah, like camera. Where are that black ADs? You know, the technical things that require expertise. Like I said, there's one black BTR guy that I know of.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so I may be missing people. I hope that I am. You know, but I don't know that I am, and I want to be. You know. Yeah. But on my 200-person crew in television, where I know some of the names have slid in from commercials in between, there's 2 guys, transpo, 1 set deck. Me.
Wow.
Lots of Latinos though.
It's LA. Just like in New York, it's a little bit more, but not really because it's all Irish and Italian. Yeah.
See, and the Latinos also blend really well. Even if they're not speaking English, they still blend better.
Right.
Everyone can see me.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So
Cheri, thank you so much for spending the time chatting with us today.
Well, it's my pleasure. I would be happy to come back whenever you need me.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you back and hear what happens after your show ends. That
would be great. Thanks, you guys. It was a pleasure.
Wow. It was, so you want to be doing a good job, but you always realize you can be doing so much fucking more, people.
I know.
I mean, we could be doing more. I mean, it's just not about what you are doing or what you have been doing or, and what kind. The point is what kind of difference is it making?
Right.
And
what actual difference is it making?
What actual difference are you making, Christian? Well, okay, you're right. So why don't I find out? And why don't I find out how to make a better or bigger difference than what I currently think that I am?
Right. Rather than just talking about it.
Performative Christian. Yeah, I got it. Thank you for that lesson.
Yes.
Well, Lawrence, this show is edited and co-produced by Bra Bloomke.
Artwork and logo design by Christopher Daniels.
And our music was composed by Kyle Puccia.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Once again, we're back next week. Until then, stay safe, stay connected, and get your voice heard. Stay active. I got my ballot. Get out there and vote, guys.
Get out there and vote and wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Clean your phone. Wear a mask. And it sounds like we need to get some pool noodles.
Get some pool noodles to keep yourself distant. Send us your voice recordings and your emails to producershappyhour@gmail.com.
Lawrence, how can people get a hold of you?
voiceoflawrence.com for voiceover work or lawrencetLewis.com for producing work. Christian, what about you?
People can get me at sisterchristianproduces.com.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.